How about we do that? Can you hear me a little bit better now? Here I was rambling along. But good evening once again. My wife and my son are out tonight for at least another half an hour to an hour. There's some handsy work going on here. But other than that, tonight we are looking at the Uber, the Ultra, the Fantastico. Well, it's not that fantastical, but it's a good project we're working on here. This is the Harlech XL. Now, this is a first version of the board. I've already found a bug in it, so I'm going to try and fix that tonight. But also, this allows 4 of these boards to sit next to each other. I think, Lisa, you may have caught that with me last time I was on. So there's a couple of wee doodads and so on I want to show you guys. This is I'm not sure if the camera's going to see it very well. Let's put that by there and zoom out. Oh, zoom out, zoom out. There we go. You can see the control panel there, just like you'd see at a museum, where you can switch on different zones on your table. So if you are doing a big, big museum build, not a museum, like a big table build, and you want to be able to control lights in different sections, like when the party approaches a certain building, push a button, that building suddenly comes up to life, and so on. You're going to have those buttons there. And the way we do that, the way we dabble with that, and I've jumped in kind of quick here, but you know me, I'm hardly a man to wait on patience and so on. Let's see if I can, one moment, let's see if I can pull up the YouTube details here. Looks like we've got 2 concurrent viewers. So if you are out there and you are watching and listening, I would love to hear what you have to say. I see you, Lisa, don't worry. And let's pop that chat over there. And there's Cross as well. All right, so good, two good old favorites with me. My dog is in the background. He is busy wandering back and forth, wondering where his dinner is. Don't worry, Guinness. It'll come. All good things come to those who wait. And so what I've been dabbling with today is, for those of you that have been on the Discord, the Terrain-Tronics Discord, there's another member that's been chewing my ear off in a really good way, and so asking a lot of questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? And so on. So I figured I'd send him towards this a little later, but essentially this little bit here should be familiar to everyone. This is a Wemos D1 Mini. It's a popular little board that there we go, I'm gonna get my belly out of sight. This is the brain. All right. And very recently I developed, but I haven't released it yet, this little guy here that basically, you plug it onto, and it's got a whole bunch of little things on it. It can do remote controls. It can do like a big power switch. So if I want to switch on like a big LED, I can. And then it's got, the multicolor LEDs out by here, remote control, some other control stuff here. And then this little guy, these little connectors here, which are called quick connectors, and it means that this board, so this brain can talk through this board over to this one, and then this guy is the Harlech XL that can actually talk to so many, 36 LEDs at once, or 32 on these boards here, and then 4 high power channels. And it was James on the Discord that said to me, hey, do the high power channels work? Can we do any kind of cool timing, to like really quickly switch them on and off 50-50, so you get half the brightness or quarter the brightness and things like that? And I thought, I haven't tested that. Guess what? It was right to do so, because I found a bug. So now I feel like a dumb idiot, but instead of having spent hundreds of dollars on getting these prototypes made, I've actually spent a little bit less, and I'm quite happy that I haven't burned all my income on getting boards that don't work quite right. So I'll show you what the latest thing I've done is, and we'll go from there. And let me see. We are up to 2 concurrent viewers. Fantastic. Thank you for tuning in again. Let's give this guy a little bit of power. We'll soon see what we can do from there. So I'm going to plug this high power LED, and this is just one of those big white LEDs that I think it's either 1 watt or 3 watts, but it's blinking bright no matter how many watts it is. And I've tested this to go onto LED 36, and I'll show you what the code looks like now. It's not that terrifying. It's a little terrifying, but not that terrifying. Kind of a gentle kind of terrifying. Let's have a look here. If I was a wire and I needed to connect to stuff, I would... No, not that one. There we go. Grab one of these. No, not one of those. Where are my wires? Okay, we'll take one of these then. Okay, so I'm just gonna... Oopsie daisy, there goes power. I'll get that back in a minute. I'm gonna borrow this. This takes power from over here, so I'm gonna take 5 volts from over here. Bring it in over here. And when I finally release these, I'll give instructions with everything. But if you are thinking of doing a massive... Oh, you got a bunch of ideas for zoned LEDs. Yeah, you know, there's a whole lot of... You know, for instance, you could even do like a science fiction aliens type thing, you know, where you've got like the body of the ship and, you know, they've got to get through, you know, like a dungeon crawl, but, you know, a spaceship with aliens coming after them. And you could like switch on each zone one after the other as they progress through it. I kind of like the idea of that. The problem is I get too many ideas with this stuff to actually do anything creative. But that's my cross to bear, right? All right, so... Let's see if we can make this work. So this should flicker for like 1 second every, I think it's every second or something like that. Is that going to work for me now? You watch it not work for me. There we go. So right now the code is going through and just switching this on for 1 second, then off for 3, on for 1 second, and back and forth, right? So it's proven that my little modification to this board has worked. And that is at, I don't think that's at full power. In fact, we can look up what it's at. Let me disconnect that and connect this. Here's one we made earlier. Got to look to make sure you guys can see what I'm up to as well. I'm not very good at this multitasking. There we go. You hear the beep, beep, beep. And everything is still working okay. You guys are still getting video and it's still going. That's really great. And so... I'm going to switch over to the tools I use for this. Now you guys need to let me know if you suddenly lose my voice. Alright, so you should be able to see, you should be able to hear me, and you should be able to see my code and stuff like that now. So what you're looking at here looks incredibly complex. It isn't actually. That's the nice thing. I'll explain what we're looking at now. So let me just plug this in. There we go. We hear the boom, bida boom. Unknown 3. It's a Wemos D1. Where's my keyboard gone? Wemos D1 Mini. There we go. Okay. So this is some example code. Now wherever you see one of these dash dash, that means it's been commented out. Doesn't do anything. All right. And let's have a loop. This is where the fun stuff happens. So for LEDs 30 through 36, set the brightness to 150 and update it and wait 1 second. Now what we're actually going to do here is I'm going to change this to be 0, which is maximum brightness for these ones. 255 is the lowest, so let's delete that. Okay, and I am going to hit, so we'll come back to the screen and I'm going to hit send it, compile it, which sends it down to the board. So let's have a look here. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to switch back to this screen. There we go. That, you see how bright that is right now? We'll see how bright we can make it after we update the code. Upload. And we wait for the... oh, here we go. Yep, okay, all right. So the chat is about this big on the screen, so it's kind of small, but we'll see if we can get this to be super bright. So that's the joy of these LEDs, is they get really, really super bright. So, you know, someone was talking to me the other day that they wanted, so on Amazon they sell like blankets you hang off the wall. You know, we all did it in college and stuff, but they're UV reactive. So if you shine a UV light on them, they suddenly glow purple. Lots of like, you know, fae and fae, the word I'm looking for, like fairies and stuff, and then, you know, the whole thing will glow. I think that's pretty cool. If I can do that with this kind of controller, that might really open things up a little. So uploading. Pardon me. And it's uploading the code. Let's see. Oh wow! Holy smokes! I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but that is retina burning. I'll put my finger over it for now because it'll just blind me from here. So that is, yeah. I'm not sure if you're catching the light coming off my chin here. It's certainly making my my beard look a little lighter than what it is. Even more lighter, I should say. But yeah, so we've got, you know, the basics of this Harlech XL working. I need to modify. So there's 4 channels at the bottom here. I gotta take this off. This is blinding me. So there's 4 little chips down here, and these 4 chips like switch on this big power onto these, so I can hang 4 of these big LEDs off the bottom here and treat them just like any of the little LEDs that I have. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to disconnect this for now, and we'll hear the PC go dum ba da boom. There we go. No need to get too sad. And now let's get the beast. La beast. Okay, so here's my control panel. And here is one of my XLs. Here's my other XL and the brain. And we can put everything else to one side for now, and I'll explain more. Here we go. So the nice thing about these, what the heck was that? Oh, okay. Nice thing about these quick connectors is that they daisy chain, meaning I can take out of one and put it into the other. And so, for instance, let me see here. If I come out of this one, let me make sure you can see it. Let me zoom out a little. Forgive me if you see my stomach. There we go. All right. I can put this into this one. Come on. There we go. So this one's connecting into this one, and then this one's going to connect into the brain, which is up here. This is the brain. And then, there we go, we can make sure we put power to both, like the big power, the 5 volts. And now what I have is 2 of these. So technically that's 72 LEDs I can light up off these. So if I now give this power, and this isn't connected to the computer, it's just power right now. But in theory, we'll see lights come on. There we go. And I can... but this guy, this is my remote control, is not hooked in yet. So, if you guys can see that, yeah, I'm going to plug this one into the chain. So you can see here, I can daisy chain these one after the other. So now I've got this one going through this, going to here, then coming out of here and going to the brain. Now let's recycle everything. There we go. And let's see what happens now if I push these buttons in the right order. Here we go. So I've got like a simple flashing going on these red ones into zone 1. Zone 2 has a fire effect that I can set up. Can they chain either or? Because my brain is screaming they're connected and out and out. Yeah, no, they live on a bus. So you know, you have, imagine just being able to tie up to them, you know, to one communication piece of string or something. Trying to think of what we have in life that's like that, but rather than having to go point to point, you have one long piece of copper that is virtually done between all of these, and they all just communicate off that string. All right, this one is, that's just on off, I think, solid on off. So I got candle flicker, flashing. What have I got over here? And then I can put more over here. So let's do that for a minute. Let's see what I've got. Now it looks like these can only go one way around. There we go. What's that one on? Okay, so if you look, these two have been set up so that they both live on that bus. Let's get another one. Is that this way around? Yeah, look at that. So this, again, this is a red one, but this time this has got the same flickering effect that these have. So I think that was 3. No, there we go, you see? So actually I've set up this one, these 3 8s to do random flickering, and they're all flickering at their own random rate, right? So they're not copying each other. That's one of the problem with the the standard flickering LEDs is when you connect them and switch them all on at the same time, they flicker together. And so you all know some of the YouTubers I work with. They're sometimes a nuisance, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't have all the candles flickering at once." Candles don't all flicker together. And so yeah, that makes them fun to work with. All right, let's put this one this way. Let's see if this lights up. Yeah, that one's on. So it looks like in the code, and I'll show you what the code looks like, but I've basically set these ones up to be flashing together 50-50. When I say 50-50, it's on and off, 50% of the time. And then what's this one? This one. There we go. I think that's a solid on. These standard red LEDs really aren't bright enough. But the nice thing here is now I can have 1, 2, and I can have 2 more living on the same chain. So you can see this is a lot of LEDs I can do, and then I can define, and that's the next bit, is I've got to define like a website or something that you go to for this guy, and that you basically say, hey, I want LEDs 1 through 8 on the first board and LEDs 1 through 8 on the second board. Where are they? Or whatever to be. Or the better example here is these are LEDs 24 through 32 on the first board and 24 through 32 on the second board to live on zone number 3. And that could be a fortress, that could be a I don't know, a bakery, butcher shop, whatever it is on your terrain, and you basically have one button. Then when you switch them on, they'll all switch on. And in addition to that, then you'll be able to go in either through a website, or you can modify my code and you go into a website, so you connect the board to your Wi-Fi. Great. And then once you've gone to that web Wi-Fi, then you can connect to it from your phone or from your PC and so on. Camera versus eye is a weirdness. Can see those standard reds just fine, and the super bright did not blind us in the end. Meanwhile, you can't see the ones that are blinded by the other. Yeah, I know. What a real. I've got to learn how to use this camera. I really can't. The ones on the side here, these are standard flickering ones, and you can see they're having a fit because they're trying to flicker a flicker LED. That's could do better, but we'll work that out. But yeah, it's a bit of a nuisance. Sorry about that, Cross. These are development boards, so I'm not ready to go to full flashy production yet. But I really like this daisy chaining of these, they're called quick connectors. And so, this is actually, a quick connector input board. This is a quick connector Harlech XL. This is another Harlech XL, and this is the brain over here. So the ability to just keep on adding things onto this quick connector means I can build up a system really quickly and tear it apart really quickly as well. So let's ever so quickly. So I need to find a new, I don't know, a new hobby, a new group of people that really want to see, they really need this many LEDs. Now I see a lot of folks building, what do they call it? Mordheim boards. That seems to be the new cool thing that all the cool kids are doing. All the code is on the SD in the brain. No, there isn't an SD card in the brain. That's a really good question. So let me just jump you over to the desktop here, and I'll jump you to all in with the control panel. So this is all the code that's running. In terms of code, it's not. I know it looks daunting. Don't let it daunt you. That's all I can say. It really isn't. It really isn't. It really shouldn't be. Something you really get wound up about. Most of it you ignore, but the 3 things I've got here is I've defined these groups, right? So group 1, group 2, group 3, and I use this language to define what they are. So this AND LED driver 1 is board number 1. That's let me jump back and forth. So this would be like board 1, and then anything that's got LED driver 2 is the other board. So This is circuit board number 1, LED 0, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the first 8 on the first board. That's in the middle here. And then I've got 2, which is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's the second bank. So in theory, if I switch back, God, I hope this works. In theory, these and these should behave together, because this is 0 through 7, actually, technically. 0 through 7 on board number 1, and 9 through, 16. Oh, actually, it's this one. 16 through 23. So these two should behave together. Shall we see if my code actually worked? I'm a little nervous now, to be honest with you. Ready? Oh, there we go. So you can see they're both now flashing together. So the code, the question you asked is, the code is PC resident. No, this code over here, gets downloaded to the brain over USB. So you plug a USB in and you say, hey, here's my settings, and off it goes. Now, once I'm done with this, so this is kind of early prototyping, what you'll do eventually is basically switch this on, go to it from your let me switch the right camera on, sorry, not very good at this. You go to, you switch this on for the first time, you look on your Wi-Fi on your phone and it says, Terrain-Tronics unprogrammed or something like that. You'll go to it and you teach it, hey, this is the Wi-Fi in my house, this is Cross's Wi-Fi. And then you'll go to it, you give it your password for the Wi-Fi, and then suddenly this board lives on your network. It lives on the on your Wi-Fi. So then you'll type in an address for it, like a telephone number, 192.168.1.15 or something, and it will then, you'll go to it and it'll look like a website. It won't look like a very glamorous website, it won't look flashy and stuff, but it'll be a website that is actually all running from this board. And so you'll go in, and I wonder if I can show you guys. Hold on. Where's that chat that was on the Terrain-Tronics one? Bear with me. Development updates. You'll go to something that looks a little bit like... Where is that now? Silly, silly, silly. No, not there. Was it in the private chat then? Sorry to keep you waiting. So you'll go to something that looks like... How can I do this? Can you guys see that? There we go. So you'll go to a website on your phone that'll look something like this. Where John Connor lives. So you've got your groups here. You'll click down to choose what behavior you want. Do you want candle flickering? Do you want solid on and off? And then you'll decide, okay, LED number 1, I want it on group 1, or I want it on group 3 or group 4, and there'll be 144 of these. So you go down selecting what you want, hit save, and that'll update the code that's running on this, so that when you power it down and switch it back on again, it'll remember where you left off. And so that's the kind of easiest way I could think of doing it right now. Cross is help you connect to it, and then on your phone or on your computer you go through tap tap tap, tip tip tip. This is group 1, group 2, group 3, and then eventually you very easily come back to, this is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3, and so on. So always be nice to the toaster so the Terminators kill you last. Yeah. If any of you watched, trying to think, what was that show years ago? British comedy. It was Red Dwarf, right, where they had the talking toaster, and he goes, "Can I make you some toast?" All the time. Same thing. Better be nice to them, right? They'll soon come after us all. So that's what the future holds. It's quite big. It's quite flashy. It's a bit further than using a Conway. But the nice thing is, once you've wire wrapped on a Conway, you can wire wrap on this pretty easily as well. The other thing I want to show you guys is that instead of wire wrapping all the time, I've started using these ribbon connectors. These are the old connectors that you used to get in your PCs for the floppy drive and things like that. But these can... I wonder if I can show you guys right now. Let me see if that'll work. Gosh, here we go. We'll soon see if I break it all. Okay. Watch me break it, watch me break it. There we go. And you can see, voila. Oh, well, let me move over a little bit. Now I have LEDs connected through a little ribbon cable. Lol, I've seen every episode of the first 10 episodes, not had the opportunity to see the most recent 2 series. I haven't seen the most recent 2 series of Red Dwarf either. I've grown up, basically. But anyway, so that's the idea. So, for instance, John was looking at these over at Tabletop Witchcraft, right? And what we spoke about was maybe we can, you build up the terrain, you bring it all into like a ribbon cable like this, and then it makes it really easy just to plug in, so that you don't have, 128 wires, 144 times 2, 288 wires that you need to wire up into boards, and it becomes chaotic. Bear with me one moment. Oh, let me just switch off the camera here to go get something. Where is that? That would be this one. Yep, give me a sec. You're staying with me. Doodly doo 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 doo. And let me find. Where are they? Is that these? Yes, there we go. So to help with using these ribbons, one of the things you can do, and I had a bunch of these made, but I didn't really think through why. Let me switch my camera back on. These are Kidwelly Castle boards. I know I've got a name for everything, but so you can run, you can run your wires, your wire wrap wires into these holes for LEDs, and then you have like a standardized pin connector here that you can use something like. Let me see if I can find one here. Bear with me. Switch that camera off again. I interrupted you, what you were saying about Mordheim. Oh, just, I see a lot of folks building Mordheim boards now. That's the new cool thing to do. There's a lot of talk about it. John at Tabletop Witchcraft is doing it. And then I also saw that, what's the name of that channel? MS Terrain or something like that? He's doing it now as well. So, well, not now, but anyway, back to this. So yeah, that gives you that kind of connector, so you can just drop in then. So, you bring all of your wire wrap wires over here. This is soldered in as well, and then you can just plug this in, and then you've got this kind of modular approach where you can just plug in parts of your terrain. And the great thing is as well, this is compatible with a Conway board. Even though this is 8 channels, not 4, you can at least test with a Conway board if things aren't working and things like that. So this is a Kidwelly board, Kidwelly Castle. I need to get that up on the web. Add it to the list of cool projects and ideas. Sermon Lesser Maker. Oh, I haven't seen that, Sermon Lesser Maker. I need to. That's one I need to find then. Clearly. So there we go. So that's giving you guys the cool update on what I'm up to. Let me move these back into the box. Okay. And now we get to have some really complex fun and games. So let's see if I can zoom down. Alright, so this board here, in fact I might almost be better off showing you guys this on the microscope. Kind of terrified, but... So this board here needs a couple of little modifications. And the modifications they need are... Let me just pull the... There we go, maybe I'll be able to solder them. Bear with me. Oh, by the way, pitching my son's work here while I'm here. This is what I've got him doing for me now. I'm trying to give a 13-year-old purpose. When you're 13 and all you want is Fortnite tokens and stuff, you can at least work for them. This is... He made this. I quality controlled it, but he made this. So this is a controller that you just plug in the USB into it, and it drives 6 high power LEDs with lightning effects. So let me just show you this real quick. I'm really proud of him for sticking with it and learning how to solder. He's got a little whiles to go, but it's surprising how good he is already. There we go. That's powered. These should start flickering now any minute now. There we go. Just like that. So the camera's not catching it very well, to be honest with you, but there's 6 LEDs here with enough wire to run, you know, up and around the table and so on. So you can put in clouds, spray them a little bit grey to make them look miserable, and then, you know, you break these LEDs off then as you need. So these are available on the Etsy store. Help me keep my son employed. He gets to keep all the money that, you know, the assembly costs and so on, so that you don't have to. I'm quite proud of him, to be honest with you. Yeah, you saw it, Lisa. So, you know, if you're doing a table or a big, you know, terrain, if you want like a cloudy mountain top, or even inside explosion clouds. Yeah, exactly, explosion clouds or anything like that, really. You know, I was even thinking like, you know, clouds, not cloud, but mist around the base of a tree or something like that. It's a great little setup, and I know it sounds silly, you know, but motivating a 13-year-old to do anything is really difficult. And so the fact that, you know, I can get him to focus with me for an hour or two on a Saturday morning while he's building up boards, I'm really pleased. So if you're talking to anyone who wants to do that kind of thing, send them my way. I made a reel, I think it was, the other day, pitching this stuff, but yeah, it's been a little slow because I've been traveling and so on. So yeah, we'll have to pick it up from there. So let's switch over now. Oh yeah, how's that? You can see plenty there. Let's take this off, and I'm going to show you what we're going to work on tonight. Let me switch off my camera because I need to look through the microscope here. There we go. Try motivating a 6-year-old sometime. That's funny. That's funny. All right, let me catch the focus just right here. It's always hard with a microscope. So this is a prototype board, so I'm allowed to be a little bit scruffy with this. Let's see if I can... There we go. We can really zoom in now. Look at that. How's that for fun and games? Oh, but I'm out of focus. So let's... How do I get back into focus? There we go. All right. So where's my little pointer tool here? And I'll show you what we need to do tonight. That was those two. There we go. All right. Bear with me. Microscope on. Alright, so you guys should be able to see this guy here. So this guy needs to be moved, this guy needs to be moved, and this guy needs to be moved. And next time, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a grain of sand to show you how small these things are. What have I got here that you guys would know the size of instantly? I could probably get, here we go, some of these connectors. Where is it? There we go. How's that for scale, right? That's how small we're talking about. Yeah, so those are the pins, and you can see how large they are in comparison to the resistor we're going to try and pick out of here. So I'm going to start off with some warm air. And in fact, I'm probably going to... Here's a DIY tool I made a couple of years ago, but it's good for protecting boards and stuff. We'll move this up. Let's zoom out a little. There we go. And can you guys see what I'm working on? There we go. And there's a free advertisement for a sponsor, right? So let's have a look. And you watch this, I'm probably going to blow the chips out of the way as well. Ah, no. Okay, well, let's see if I take my glasses off, if this will help. I can't do that, can I? Because you guys can't hear me otherwise. Okay. Now this is a prototype, so if I melt the connector, it's okay. Okay, come on, scrape you out of there. There we go, there's one. Okay, it's a good start. Let's do it with the next one. Ouch, my fingers are burning. 2, uh-oh. Here we go, I'll get that in a minute. And then 3. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, 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 no. Now everything's gone to pot. Alright, that's back on the connector. Alright, let's stop breaking things now, stop heating things up. Clearly I'll have to... what are the problem with those resistors? They're in the wrong place. That's what's wrong with them, Cross. My design didn't work. Those channels didn't work. And one of the causes of that was these resistors. So let's remove them out of circuit. So this is the fun I go through when I'm prototyping, essentially. Come on, there we go. And this one. And it turns out what I actually need to do is put another resistor between these 2 pins, these 2 pins, and these 2 pins. So, can I do that? That's the question. Well, the resistors I have here are a little bit bigger. They're not always machine placeable. These ones are so small. Oh gosh. Let's see if I can put it on the back of my fingernail here. And you'll see that I chew my fingernail, so don't judge too hard. You guys see that? Yeah, that's pretty darn small right there. What's the problem with those resistors? Yeah, okay. So let's get some resistors that we're going to pop in place. So these are slightly bigger. They're the next size up, actually. So let's pop a few of them down by here. Come on, if I can pick one up. 1, 2, 3. And I'm actually going to move my microphone, so I'm going to mute just for a second so I don't deafen you guys. Is that this one? No. Is it this one? Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Are you going to short that gap or just bypass that? No, it's not shorting. It's actually, let me show you. It's a good question though, Cross. So I actually need to put in a resistor between them. And it causes what's called a pull-up. So the resistor now kind of pulls it up to the power supply. So... oh shit! Did you guys just see that go flying? Gosh darn it! Okay, let's go. We'll get another one in a minute. Oh god, no, please. Yeah, you know, I can't imagine having 60-year-old eyes and trying to do this. Although I have to admit the microscope certainly helps. All right, no, come on. Here we go. So the idea is I'm going to just try and slide that on right by there, if you guys can see that. Let me just look up, see if you've written back anything. I gotta put my glasses on and off every time, and just to read what you guys have written. That's how old I am. All right, so look here. All right, put my drink by there. By the way, you shouldn't have food and drink near where you're soldering. It's not good for you. I just figure I've already done so much damage to my soul by now that a little bit more won't hurt. Okay. Glasses up. I will have to put a new connector on this, but that's not too bad. Big blob of solder by there, big blob of solder by there. Then what shall I do? Maybe rotate it. This is what I like about my Guinness here, is that now I can come in. I'm going to come in like here and heat it up. I'm going to put that resistor into the molten solder. So are we all ready? Come on, you. Now, when you get these boards, right, this will be all fixed by the factory by then, but, you know, before I decide on all the changes that I've got to go to the factory, I need to make sure that those changes work and that they work well. Come on, you. My God. Looks like I'm working with, like, you know, a pitchfork here in comparison. There we go. Terrain-Tronics, where I do the work so you don't have to. Blobs are soldered by there. Okay, let's get another resistor. Do I have one on this board somewhere? If you guys stick around, you'll get to hear the cow in a minute as well. The cow? I can hear Lisa saying, "What's the cow?" You ready? Let me switch cameras here. There we go. This is the cow. This is what I use for desoldering connectors and stuff. So it's got a vacuum pump in it that sounds like a cow. So actually, why don't I do that now? That's a really good idea. So I can take this connector out by using the cow. The cow is warming up right now. Come on. Here comes the cow. There we go, and it takes the solder off. Moo. 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 There we go. So now I should be able to, in theory, just push this connector off. You guys see this okay? Oh, hey Yannick, how's it going? There we go. There we go. Look at that, clean, beautiful. This is all melted up. Bye bye. You can go in the trash. But now I can actually work on this now without that connector in the way. I should have done that earlier. That was really quite silly of me not to think of doing that. So let's go back to the microscope. All right, let's have a look here. A bit of soda or whatever, tea. And let's get, where's those components gone? There we go. Some more 10Ks. I get these in a reel of 5,000 of them at a time, so I don't care if they go flying. The spring is gone in it. There we go. Get a few more. Oopsie daisy. They went flying. It's really hard using a microscope with glasses. Bear with me. There we go. By the way, can you guys hear any backing music? I try to find something I can just leave looping in the background, but because of the way this software works, I don't get to hear it, or if it's too loud or not loud enough. So let me know in the comments. And nothing yet, so I'll look once I put my glasses back on. All right, you. Okay, so we are going to okay, my big fat fingers are too big and fat for this, so let's do it the old-fashioned way. 1. And how are we going to do this? I think we have to come in this way again, aren't we? Can you guys see that okay? Yeah, I think you're in the right rotation with me. And barely, you can barely hear the music. Probably a good thing, to be honest with you. Let's switch that off. We don't need the moo machine anymore. And clean up the soldering iron. All right, you guys ready for this? Do 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 do. There we go. Again, I wouldn't go to production like that, but for a prototype, that is more than good enough. And I'll check if it's a decent connection or a good enough connection in just a minute. Come on, you. Okay, now it's stuck to the, oh, crying out loud, there we go. And where's my solder? I had a few blobs of solder over here. Yeah, my 13-year-old isn't quite up to this level of soldering yet, but he'll get there. I mean, if I'm mean enough to him. Let's have a look here. Okay. Come on, you. Oh, come on, no. Bloody hellfire. It's quite difficult to kind of marry what you're seeing through the microscope with what your hands are doing. It really is a practiced art, which I clearly don't have enough practice at. All right, come on, come on, come on, all the way up, not far to go now. Let's clean the tip of the soldering iron. And incoming. So in theory, that looks like it's connected to there. That looks like it's connected to there. Here we go. There we go. All right, so now let's zoom in and see how bad it really is. Let me just check if there's any messages in chat. Are these things are resistors, not diodes? You think you accidentally plug in a USB backwards too often? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are really, really tiny components. But also, you know, if I was here by myself and not trying to videotape it for you guys, I'd actually just sit down at the bench and get really close and burn my nose. Ooh, look at that. Zoomy, zoomy. Oh my god. Okay, now I'm embarrassed. It looks like a big sloppy bath down there. But I think the only one I'm worried about is this one here. Looks like this one may or may not have made a good connection. So the best way I can check that is to actually get a multimeter and just check the resistance between these two pins. I think that'll, you know, it should be dominated by this. It should be 10k ohms. So let's get that. And times like this, I wish I could share the multimeter with you on the screen, but I'm not quite smart enough for that. All right. Here we go. So this one I know works, and this should be 10k ohm between here and here, and it's 10k on the nose. Beautiful. Okay, how about this one and this one? 10k on the nose. How about this one and this one? 10k on the nose. And last one, 10k on the nose. I'm very, very happy with that, even though it looks like I basically deep fried these parts in chip fat and stuck them on. So next thing to do now is to put the connectors back over here as well, on here. So let's go about doing that. And then I'm going to call it a night, I think. Oh, who's still with me here? All right, and we'll go full screen again, or at least bring in the camera. Boom, hello again. Okie dokie, carry of the okie. Now I think for this one what we're going to do is we're going to add these connectors, add this connector, and we'll solder bridge. Oh, you can't even see what I'm talking about. We'll solder bridge one of these to give this guy a different address, because they all have a different address on that quick bus that we were just talking about. So let's that's on. Let's get the connectors we need. 2x8s. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need a 2x4. There we go. 2x4s. Okie dokie, karaoke. Let's have a look here. So we'll do this one first. Okay. Let's put some of these in just to help it stand up. Okay, that's not going anywhere. Soldering iron. Solder. Now, ideally when you're soldering you should have some kind of like air breezing over things, but what I found is that that tends to create a lot of noise, so I don't switch it on when I'm actually doing stuff here. Let me move the microphone to my glasses so I'm not shouting into it. Alright, that should be a little better for you guys. And it's very fashionable, as you can see. Is this camera going to follow me? Come on, you. Where is it? Preset 2. There we go. Now you can look at my face and so on. Oh, let's get the little bench over here. Alright, and you can see all the mess that's around me as well. Let's see how it looks on stream. Oh, yes, there we go. We can hear you. We can hear your thoughts. Oh. There's not much going on in there, Yannick. Honestly. Here we go. Buy Terrain-Tronics products. It's in the background music. So having the right soldering iron tip, I say this every stream, makes a world of difference. These hoof ones, yeah, they make such a difference. I'm expecting my son to walk in through the door in a minute now and disturb everything as well. Get ready for that. 13-year-old, just back from his friend's house, over-sugared, overtired, overplayed, and probably stinking after football practice today as well. Ooh, the joys of teenagers in the house. Come on then, you. Okay. I'll do an optical inspection of these in just a minute to see. Optical meaning I'll check with my eyes up close in just a minute just to see if I bridged any or if I've got any bad joints of solder. But you'll see once you get into kind of a methodical rhythm of it, it can be quite easy. Flips around, we'll do the other side. I don't think this connector is going to be very straight, but it doesn't matter for prototyping. And then once I've done these two connectors, I'll look up and see if there's any messages. So who's going to do something fun with a Connie board soon? And how can I get you to upgrade from a Connie to something more fun? Oh, that's my son. Give me 1 second. When he comes in, I will mute. There we go, back again. Sorry about that, guys. Just saying good evening to my son. Let's have a look. Let's just finish this. Now when I'm doing convoys, I actually have a bigger soldering iron than this, one that's a lot hotter, so I can zip through connectors like this. I should have warmed that up really, but this will do. Now if you look really closely, you'll see little like clear blobs here jumping out, or like a thin oil. That's actually resin that's embedded within the solder that helps it flow a little better. The resin actually comes from trees, or tree sap, which I always thought that was kind of cool. Okay, and we'll go to the other side. Now, some of you may be watching this going, how can you do that so fast? Whenever I solder, it takes ages. And all I can tell you is practice, 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 practice. There are so many circuit boards with just connectors on them that I spent time just practicing on to get accuracy and speed up, like any other skill. Okay, that's one side, and then this one. Then I'll show you real quick soldering those jumpers, because you're going to see more and more of them on Terrain-Tronics boards because they're so useful. Alright, let's see how bad this is. Let's check your messages as well. How long will it take me to learn how much solder to put on? I always put too much. You know, you start off with a little bit, and you add a little bit more, you add a little bit more, right? You don't just go in and blip, because otherwise, yeah, you will put too much down. So there we go. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to, this middle jumper by here, we're going to put a blob of solder down between these two contacts here, this one and this one, to make a good connection. And it actually creates, there we go, it's done. That now, one pad is now connected to the other, so it tells the chip, hey, you're now board number 3 in the list. And now I can add this to that other 2, and now I've got 3 times 72, 3 times 36, what's that, 108 LEDs that I can light up. What is the temperature of my solder? Either I'm too hot and I melt the plastic, or not enough and it takes ages to solder. Well, let me answer that. Give me a second. Let me just check here these notifications, make sure the wife isn't trying to get hold of me. Yeah, nothing serious. Okay, I run at 375. I'm running Kester solder. Kester is designed for, it's leaded solder, so I have to wash my hands after this. But it flows so much easier, and there's plenty of resin in it as well. So if you use a lot of lead-free solder, sometimes they don't put enough resin in it to help it really flow easily, and you have to run it hotter, which means you're in danger then of soldering, melting plastic and stuff like that. So I think last time you joined the chat, you were in Canada. You can get leaded solder. It's harder to get hold of. But if you go onto Amazon, you're looking for Kester, what is it? Kester 38A, I think it's. I'd have to have a quick look. I have it here. Here we go. Oh dear. Oh well, I'll catch that later. This is Kester. I'm not sure if you guys can see. There we go. This is Kester SN63PB37. So it's 63% tin, 37% lead. 3.3% of it is actually resin, and so you can actually see the resin dried up in the middle of the solder. And so those 3 things combined, it just flows a lot easier, a lot better, and you're less likely to melt stuff. I'm afraid to tell you how I do it because David will scold me. Lisa, next time I'm in LA, I'll come by and I'll teach you how to solder, okay? Or maybe in the next class next year at Mythicon, we'll do that. But there we go. So this is now ready. I'll be testing these out. Maybe I should test it. I should test it out now, shouldn't I? Okay, fine. I'll test it out now. Let's have a look here. 5-volt high current. And this goes into one of their ports. Can you guys see what I'm up to? I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this. Oh, my cat has just decided to join me and give me grief. What do you want? What do you want? Go on, bugger off. This is soundtrack to my life. Meow, meow, meow. Okay, so let's see. So we made the modifications to all 4 channels. So let's see if this lights up for me. If it lights up, the modifications worked. No. Okay, that hasn't worked. That's plugged in. Alright, alright. I can take criticism. There we go. So that's lighting up. Okay. So that channel is working okay. Let's try one of the other channels. Come on, David. Yep, that one's working. That one's working, and let's try the last one. Yeah, I'd say they're all working. So those little soldering under the tiny microscope all worked. I'm pretty pleased with that. Veruca Salt Voice, I want him to test the circuit, Daddy. I wanted to test it right now. It worked, alright, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And that also means I can now make these changes to the design and send them off to China and feel confident that those 4 channels will work as well. What's nice about these high power channels is you can hook them up to these big LEDs if you want. If you want to use a UV LED like this and have your whole terrain light up, that's pretty cool. But your alternative is also drive other Conway boards off it, right? Anything that takes like a 5-volt USB, you can drive off this, and it'll switch on when you write a little code, so that when you push the button it'll do it, and so on. Anyway, it is 9:04. I've been on for over an hour. Thank you for joining me tonight. That was fun. I enjoyed that, even though I feel like I've now been talking to myself. Yeah, we got there. So thank you again. See you next week, or whenever I can organize myself well enough. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you on Discord. Don't forget to come along to the Terrain-Tronics Discord, but also Dungeon Matrons Discord is wonderful on Wednesdays, and of course Cross's Discord as well, where he's updating on a regular basis of what he's been up to and so on. Alright folks, thank you very much, have yourselves a good evening, and I'll speak to you soon.